How to make a healthy packed lunch. Hello and welcome to Videojug. What you feed your children can have a profound effect on their physical, mental and emotional development, and providing a healthy packed lunch can make a positive difference to their performance and behaviour at school. We've spoken to renowned children's nutritionist Yvonne Bishop-Weston to show you how to make a packed lunch that is perfect for growing children. The balanced diet.
A balanced diet's basically whole food. If you go for the food as close as that food would be in nature, you can't go far wrong. So when you're choosing carbohydrate-rich foods are bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, all of the starchy things. If you go for refined white ones, so for instance if you went for white bread instead of wholemeal bread, then they remove about 15 different vitamins and minerals. And you lose about 80% of the B vitamins. The B vitamins are needed for the nervous system, for energy, and anxiety and low energy are increasingly common in school children, unfortunately. And if you remove all of these nutrients as well as the fibre, then the child's digestive system isn't going to be as good and they're not going to have all of the nutrients needed to grow and develop.
The healthy packed lunch.
Roughly, if you imagine a plate, and for children and adults, roughly half your plate should be fruit and vegetables. About a quarter of your plate should be something rich in protein, so good quality meat or fish or beans or pulses or tofu or nuts or seeds, and then a quarter of your plate should be good starchy carb, so that would be bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, but in their whole grain form, in their brown form rather than their white form.
Make staples healthier.
When you refine a food, you're basically taking out the really healthy components of that food. So if you went for white flour as opposed to brown flour, so white bread as opposed to brown bread, you're losing on average 15 vitamins and minerals. And it's not just a bit of them. So for instance, you're losing up to 80% of the B vitamins. And B vitamins are needed for energy, they're needed for mood, they're needed for the nervous system. And so they're needed for pretty much every part of a child's day and daily life. And if you don't have any coming along with that food, you'll go to the body stores and take the stores of energy. So having eaten a white bread sandwich, you've got less nutrients in your body than you had before you ate.
Forbidden foods.
I would never put in fizzy, especially caffeinated drinks, because they are loaded with sugar, which leads to energy and mood peaks and troughs. And also the caffeine is really detrimental to the digestive system and it's really detrimental to their mood and their ability to concentrate. I would really steer clear of things with added sugar. Fruit sugar is fine, but added sugar, sucrose and glucose and all the forms of sugar. Salt, we do need to be careful of salt because obviously children's foods, it's been discovered, especially in recent years, how much salt there is in children's food. Deep fried foods and heavily processed foods and food additives.
Read the label.
If we are choosing foods which are already prepared, then we need to really have a look at what's in them. And if we don't understand what something is on the back of a packet, then look it up, find out what it is and decide whether or not that's something that you're happy with or that's something that you're not happy to feed your children. And what I find useful is to bear in mind that 1 teaspoon of sugar is 4 grams. So if you just have a look at the total content per portion, not per 100 grams, because what you want to know is what's in that portion that you're eating, and then have a look at roughly how many teaspoons of sugar are in that and visualise it and think, is it really worth all that sugar? So for instance, a little pot of yoghurt, an individual pot of yoghurt, can have anywhere between 3 and 4.5 teaspoons of sugar in it.
Healthy alternatives.
I think you really have to go through with drinks, and this is going to be probably the trickiest thing, is training children to drink water, because we absolutely need water. It's part of every single body function, and it's also really fundamental for the brain because we need water for concentration. And one of the reasons that our children's concentration slips is dehydration during the day. And all schools now have to provide free drinking water to children, but basically water is water and we do need to learn to drink it. I think with packed lunches, be as creative as you can, because we've spoken about wholemeal bread and a good protein choice and some salad, but give your child a healthy sandwich every day and they're going to start to get bored of that. So along those lines, you can produce pretty much anything. So for instance, pizza, most kids like pizza, but it can be a healthy pizza. It can have a wholemeal base, it's got tomato, it's got vegetables, and it doesn't have to be loaded with cheese. It can just have a few strips of cheese on the top. Another good idea for a lunchbox that children tend to quite like is pasta salads. but again using wholemeal pasta, and you can get very small wholemeal pasta shapes which works well, and you can put in peas, sweet corn, the things that most kids seem to really like, but then put in a few other vegetables that they don't necessarily eat as much. And if your child's sitting down in the canteen to eat, then that, they can sit down and eat something like that.
Stubborn children.
I see a lot of children in clinic whose parents feel that they are stubborn and they're never going to be able to get their children to change. And what works well for me, and it is easier for somebody who's not the parent, I do appreciate that, is working out why that child would want to eat that food. And in this case, it's much easier with the children as they get older. But generally, if you talk to a child and you find out what's important to them, is it their sport? Is it their skin? Are they starting to get spots? Is it their energy? Is it their weight? Find out what is important to them. And it is easy to not really be in tune with what's important now because they change so fast and life's so hectic. And then work on that. And whatever your explanation of why this food is good, it can pretty much be tailored. And also be a good example. Because so often I find that people say, well, I give my children healthy food, but they just want the biscuits in the cupboard. So don't have the biscuits in the cupboard. Why are we going to say to our children, you have to eat this because it's good for you, but I'm going to eat this rubbish because I can. It's, at home, if you want to do it when you're out, that's your choice. But at home, make sure that the choices are pretty much all good. Providing a healthy packed lunch for your child is such an important thing to do because they need all of those nutrients to get through their increasingly hectic lives. They're really busy at school. We put so much pressure on them to perform well at school. Then they've got so many after-school activities. They need the vitamins, the minerals, and the fuel to get through all of those and enjoy life, which is after all what we want for our kids, isn't it? But also, if you do this as a family, I find it can be a really positive thing for a whole family to do together, that you shop for better foods together, that you make foods together, and that you're eating better meals together as a family. And it really does seem to have a very positive impact on the whole family.